You're listening to Female Founders with Claire Bartlett, the podcast that tells you what it is really like to be a female founder in today's world. We share invaluable insights through personal journeys and real-life business experiences, highlighting the highs and the lows so you can move forward in your business with ease. I am passionate to share with you the realities of business and give you the strategies and simple steps you need to truly succeed with your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have offered an amazing 50% discount off your first 3 months with them to all our listeners. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, then follow the link in the show notes today. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to Female Founders. Today we are thrilled to welcome Katie Colella to the chat show. Katie is an accomplished meta ad strategist and an expert in the world of Facebook advertising. Her expertise have earned her multiple awards and a reputation as an amazing business mentor and strategist. So join us as we uncover the strategies and stories behind Katie's success, offering inspiration and actionable advice to female founders everywhere. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Claire, for that lovely intro. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Yes, I'm good.
Excellent.
I'm really excited for this. So I think a really great place to start is to ask you if there's a pivotal moment or person that you can think back in your past that you think put you on the path to where you are today.
Not necessarily a person, I don't think. I think a moment potentially, going right back to my first business, because I've been in business pretty much on, more than off, since I was 18. So the first
Wow.
business was just a little sandwich bar and catering business that I kind of grew on the side of that. And I had left school after A levels, but at the time there was no like university course saying, come and be an entrepreneur, come and learn how to earn money for yourself and how to work for yourself. So I'm sure there probably is now. But at the time that didn't really exist. So it was
Yeah.
very much, oh, okay, I'll go and get a job. And I didn't really know what the path was at that stage. And I went to a job, and I think I was there about 6 months. And then an opportunity came up to buy the business for the sandwich bar, and I kind of went, yeah, that's fine, why not, let's give it a whirl. And I'm always a little bit of a risk taker and like to try things and kind of jump before I can walk, so I said, yeah, let's go for it. And I had lots of people around me that were self-employed, so for me, and I never really understood why some people find it quite a scary thing working for yourself. I think because I've always been surrounded by family members that had worked for themselves off and on over the years, it wasn't an abnormal choice. It was just like, it's just another choice. Whereas some people I speak to that have always been surrounded by people that work in traditional employment kind of struggle to see that, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
that's kind of
find
the
that
start.
quite interesting because for so many people, it's not something they even ever consider. It's just not
Yes.
an option. So yeah, I think that's interesting that because you saw that around you
Hmm.
when you were younger, that was always in your mindset of something that you could
Yeah.
do if you chose to. And to buy a business at 18 is quite a big thing. So
I mean, I suppose it is when you say it back, but at the time it was like, oh, cool, this is a good opportunity. I was still living at home, so I didn't have the responsibilities of a mortgage or rent or things like that. So,
yeah,
and my mum and dad at the time had a similar another business around the corner, so I felt like I had the support there, which I suppose helped, and it made it an easier decision. I literally remember walking in, they were like, how do you feel about buying this? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I think it was so as you do when you're 18, I suppose. And I was so kind of laid back about it. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, let's try it. And literally, I think 2 weeks later, it all moved pretty quick. And then all of a sudden, I was the owner of this sandwich bar and absolutely adored it.
amazing. And you think so that was sort of your first step into the
Yes,
entrepreneurial world that's then led you throughout because you've had a number of businesses,
I
haven't you,
have. Yeah, I've
through
done
that
lots of different
time?
things. So the next one after that, I mean, I had that for 3 years and then sold that. I did go into employment then for a few years, and then fast forward mid-20s, had a house that my husband and I bought, a large house that totally renovated, and turned into a guest house. So that was kind of the next step, and then onwards from there into online kind of selling, and then an e-commerce business, which was the last business, which is probably about 10 years ago now, I guess, that was built. And that was kind of like the one that grew quite dramatically, and on paper
Mhm.
was like the big success story. And then sold that, I think, around 6 years ago now, and went service-based, which is what I do now, and I absolutely love what I do now, and I kind of feel that everything I've done is all an accumulation and all added to the skill sets that I now help, other business owners with, so.
Amazing. I think that's so true that actually a lot of the experiences that we have throughout our lives
Mhm.
lead us to that final place. So you've picked up different skills and
Yes.
understandings of business throughout all of although they've all been very different,
Mhm.
they've all led you to where you are today.
Yes.
And now this is the real passion.
Yeah.
You said,
And
like you say, you've done it a long time and
I
you're really
have,
loving it still.
and it's funny because well, I know I do, and I know a lot of business owners I speak to feel the same, that they're kind of winging it a little bit, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm, like, helping people, I'm having these great results, and it's like, "Oh, maybe I do know a little bit." But you
Yeah.
kind of hold yourself back and can think, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm more strategic than I give myself credit for, and I do know more than I probably kind of acknowledge sometimes."
Mm,
But yeah, I kind of at the stage where I know I can work for myself and make money for myself and help other people in business, which is, a huge passion.
yeah. So that was something I wanted to ask you. When you decided to go into the service based
Mhm.
and start supporting other businesses, did you struggle initially with self belief and knowing your value and worth that you could add to those businesses?
Yes, I probably did. Also because up until this service-based business, in the e-commerce business, it's a very different world. This online kind of service-based business owners, we are in a little bit of a bubble, I find, online.
Mhm.
Um, and the e-commerce, it was very different. I didn't have the same support network, I guess, online. I didn't really know much about self-development and mindset and helping myself and working on myself. Um, so it was all a little bit new towards the end, probably, of that business. And I hadn't really
Mm.
done this thing. I was very much like an action taker, and I didn't have time for working on myself and all that. And I've definitely grown with that. Maybe that's an age thing, but also it's something I'm much more open to now as well. And I do a lot of
Yeah.
self development, and I've always loved reading, but I never would have picked up a self development book kind of 10 years ago, I don't think. So that side of it is new. And I suppose it did come from when I sold the last business. At the time, it felt like a bit of a failure, because I was walking away and I was giving up on it. And I also felt that, I suppose, I felt that the business was going a bit quieter because and then that was affecting my mindset and my mind and how I believed in myself. Looking back, it was probably the other way around. It was probably me falling out of love a little bit with the business, and because the business was
Yeah.
taking over my life, and actually it wasn't what I set out to be, and it wasn't bringing me the same joy that it had previously. And then that was probably affecting the business. I didn't realize that at the time, or hindsight
Yeah.
and reflection. So when I came into service based, initially, it was very much, I just want something I can do with my hands tied behind my back that I can earn a few £1,000s a month with. And that was my initial aim. Um, and probably was a few months in minimum that I realized that I had the skill of Facebook ads to be able to offer clients. I wasn't offering that initially. But with the
Okay.
previous business, I was completely self-taught at that stage, Facebook ads, and I'd really gone quite deep in the learning, but very much self-taught. And I knew if I invested like £25,000, I would turn over £250,000 of sales. So it was 10x in, the return on ad spend. So it was very linear in that sense as well. So
Mhm.
I was, oh, actually, maybe I can help other business owners with this. And I was already in, like I said, I decided to step away from product and go service based. So I started kind of offering that as a little tentative step, with other clients. And again, the self belief was only, oh, I can help you, but I'm not an expert. And that kind of, that, and
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I had a massive issue with the word expert. And when I was starting out, I'd be introduced, oh, this is our expert. I'd be like, oh, please. My face would literally grimace if I was on a video with someone. And a coach said to me, you've got to stop doing this, And I was like, I'm not an expert. And she was like, you are. And I was like, I'm not. And we used to have these arguments, and I remember vividly, she set me this task of, go away and write 20 things you have expertise in. And that reframe, I was like, oh, that's easy. I can do that. And she was like, why is that different in your mind? I was like, because having some expertise as opposed to being described as an
Mm.
expert in my mind was really, really different. So I did that.
Yeah.
And she was like, anything, even like being a mum or anything, it doesn't have to be business related. And that exercise was quite a turn. And that helped me. And then someone years ago, I think it was Lisa Johnson actually at the time, said, not just necessary to me, but on a masterclass I was on, an expert is a person in an average room with the most expertise in that specific topic. And that
Yeah.
really changed again. I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know why I do this, but every time I think of this, I go to little Tesco, obviously not the big Tesco, little Tesco, down the road and picture myself there and think, am I the person in there with the most knowledge and expertise in Facebook ads? And I'm like, yeah. And then that really
Love
helps
that.
me. And that got me through, I think, a few years ago, going back now. And then, obviously, a few years later, you've got more results, you've got more case studies, you've got more testimonials. And at some point,
Yeah.
I've had to start believing that actually I kind of do know a little bit about what I'm talking about, and I've got these results. So I'm clearly not winging it anymore. But it's constant, isn't it? It's not like a one done once. I have to constantly work on that to
Yeah.
tell myself that I know what I'm doing.
I think the word expert holds so much weight for so many people and
It
puts such a
does.
block for people. And actually, I work exactly the same as what you said. If I am the person in the room with the most
Hmm.
knowledge and expertise in that area, then I
Yeah.
am an expert.
Yeah.
And I don't actually find that I struggle that much with that word, but I speak to so many clients and they would, I say it and they sort of
Yeah.
run away like, no, 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 I'm
I
definitely
felt
not that.
myself
And I'm like,
shrinking when people were saying it. I was like, oh my
yeah, I
goodness. And the
see that
face.
physical reaction in people, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "But I'm telling you that you are." And I
Yeah.
think in the beginning, it's so much more about mindset and faking it until you make it and, pushing your boundaries and
Yeah.
pushing yourself out there until you have those tangible results, like you say. So now you've got physical results that you've helped a client with, and you can
Hmm.
see, well, yes, I've helped them and I've built that, and my expertise have supported that business. And so now you've got tangible things that you can look at to reframe that
Yeah.
mindset and show that you are an expert. But in the beginning, none of
Absolutely.
us have that.
No.
Um, and I definitely think that's an area that people really struggle with. And it's going back as well to what you were saying earlier about working on yourself and mindset and things. And I hadn't really thought about it from an age perspective, but it's probably the same for me. The last 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, I love to read personal development books and
Mhm.
business development books now. I find them
Yeah.
really interesting. But before that, it was all, probably romance trash and,
Yeah.
you know, things that would take me away and would be relaxing, but I wasn't learning anything from them. And now
Yes.
unless I'm on a sun lounger, then that's still
Yeah.
my
Oh yeah,
go-to. But
absolutely. I'm me trash all the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But on a on a day to day, there's so much personal development, and I don't think that can ever stop. I think no matter how much we've learned in business, there is always more that we can
Yeah,
learn,
absolutely.
um, and almost all still work that we can do on ourselves.
It's just ongoing, isn't it? I went to an in-person
Yeah.
event yesterday and it was about stepping into your next level self and what would your next level self do and what choices would they be making. And the lady whose event it was, Nikki James, she was saying, she works on herself constantly. She said, the stuff I'm teaching,
Mhm.
I'm doing this all the time myself. This isn't just me telling you that I am constantly working on myself, and it is ongoing. I know they say new level, new devil, and all the rest of it. And as you are growing and scaling, if that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
then or even if you want to stay the same, there it is constantly having to think about things and little tips. And I remember going back years ago, something called a brag file, and it was a brag file, a folder of results, if you like, or testimonials or
Yeah.
feedback. And I just keep an ongoing, it's really basic Google document. I share it with clients. It's very rough and ready, and it's just an ongoing document. If I have some feedback or a testimonial, I chuck it all in there, results and case studies. They all go in there. But that's something actually that's, as I've said it, that's something else I'm really conscious of with clients is saying, my value can't be determined on the results that I can get for you. I can do the best of my
Mhm.
ability and my skill set and my knowledge and what I know. I can do the absolute best, and I will always treat that budget like it's my own. It's my own money. Um,
Yeah.
but I can't guarantee results, and neither can anybody else. And that's difficult doing what I do because people expect you to be able to guarantee results and you can't.
Yeah.
So I kind of say it
No.
constantly. And I think it works with coaching, lots of different service-based businesses actually. People sometimes get so fixated on having those results and guarantees, and nobody can give you any of those guarantees, so it's and that I think sometimes these case studies and testimonials and feedback are really important to me. So if someone isn't having the results that we wanted and we're striving for, don't get me wrong, it's not
Mhm.
like we're giving up and we're stopping. We'll still be working and optimizing to get better results, but I might have to go back and have a little, if I'm having a wobble, have a look and, that's fine. People still like me. It's not that they don't like me for not getting the results. They still trust
Yeah.
me, but yeah, you get those wobbles. And that, as we said, is just ongoing.
I think sometimes we can see, I might see the last client of yours and see amazing results and be
Hmm.
like, right, I'm going to go to Katie and I expect
Yep.
her to get those results for me.
Yes.
But there are so many different elements that go into
Oh,
that.
huge.
I've had clients come to me before and they expect me to transform their business and grow their audience. And I'm like, the fundamentals of your business need changing really
Yes.
before we can do that because, the level of the content that you're sharing isn't what your audience are wanting to see, and until you can understand your audience and change that,
Hmm.
reframe it into exactly what they're gonna want, you're not gonna get the results that you want, and it's hard for some business owners to hear that, um,
Hmm.
and they come to you and they think you've just got the magic
Yeah.
wand and you can literally, with what they've already been doing, without changing
Yeah.
anything, you can turn their business around, and it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. And we
Um,
wish, we wish we did have the magic wand.
I know, yeah, I know. What you were saying earlier as well, that's exactly what I tell my clients to do, is just have a folder full of testimonials
Yeah.
and positive results from your business. So when you are having one of those dark days, and you're struggling for motivation, you can just have a quick read through that. And it just picks you back up and it
It
makes you
does.
feel the passion again and realigns you with your business. This is why I'm doing it, to get results like this. And then you can move on.
Just reinforces it. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. So, have there been any big failures in either the business you're in now or just in your business journey to date that that felt monumental in the moment, but that you learned from, and how did you move past them?
Probably selling the last business for me was the huge kind of, I've walked away, and my stepson at the time asked me, "Do you feel like you've failed because you've sold the business?" And this was my baby. I'd started it from £500 stock, and I'd grown it. We had premises. I had some staff members. It had grown quite rapidly to quite a,
Mhm.
I hate the word successful in defining that word. That's a whole other topic that I've got a huge bee in my bonnet
Yeah.
about. But let's say on paper, and from the eyes of other people, it would probably be deemed as a great successful business. But it had
Mhm.
taken over my life, and it had taken away all the things that are really important to me, like how happy I was, the freedom that I didn't have, no
Yeah.
flexibility, and so forth. So yes, there was that. However, I'd always classed myself as not a quitter and I don't walk from things and da da da. Da. And that was quite difficult to accept about myself. That actually, it's okay to walk away. And I wasn't just walking away, I'd sold it for a nice round figure as well, I guess, from something
This
that I
is
had
the thing.
started from scratch. But I still classed it as a little bit of a failure. And my stepson clearly seen this. And he was only, I don't know, 8 or 10 or something at the time. And he said to me, "Oh, do you feel a bit of a failure with that?" Actually, he must be older than that. And I remember my husband going, "Shh, don't say that." But
Yeah,
he's hit
quite
the nail on the
powerful.
head a little bit. He
Wow.
tapped into my brain.
Yeah.
And there was no malice or anything involved. He was just asking genuine,
Yeah.
question. And I did feel like a failure. And I completely felt that I'd failed because I'd given up on it and because I had walked. Actually, now
But
it
isn't
took,
that
it's, sorry, carry
it's
on.
so it's alright. I was just gonna say that's so interesting though, because you turned £500 into whatever huge
Yeah.
amount that you sold that business for, that you and your family have then benefited from and
Yeah.
has freed you up to move on to the next thing. That is not a failure.
No, it's
That's,
insanity
in a
looking
lot of
back.
people's eyes, a huge success.
Yeah.
So that's purely, again, it's a block and a mindset of your own that was telling you that you've walked away and you failed, not that you were just ready
Yeah.
to move on and realign your life with your work.
Absolutely. And I think there was just, it's insanity looking back. I can see that now, but at the time, I
Yeah,
was
but when
totally
you're
in
in
that,
it.
oh my goodness. And I started, like I said, service-based business pretty much quickly. I took the 6 weeks summer holidays off with the kids and had a lovely holiday and things
Mm.
like that, and then started again service-based and built that up. But it probably took a good year, I would say, before I kind of looked back and went, oh. that was actually quite cool. I did start with like no money on the kitchen
Yeah.
table in, a small house that we had. We moved to a bigger house quite quickly. I had some premises, da, 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 da. Actually, that was quite a cool little chapter, if you like, in my journey, that it was definitely a lesson learned. And it taught me what I didn't want to be doing from a business. And it taught me what I absolutely wanted from a business going forward, which is really
Yeah.
powerful. And
Yeah.
now that's something I help with clients all the time as well, is saying like, you have to have those, again, boundaries, another huge kind of convo. And that's another ongoing kind of thing constantly, I think. But having those boundaries in place, or having those conversations and expectations of what you want from your business, and that you can
Hmm.
run a business in a way that suits you. Yes, businesses can take a lot of work, especially in the early stages. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying everything's a breeze, but we can run businesses and grow businesses the way that suit us in our life, rather than the other way around, kind of taking over. And
Yeah.
it's so
100%.
important. Otherwise, why are we here? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
I think there's two things from that. One, how powerful it is to know when it's the right time to walk away,
Yeah,
when you've either lost the passion or you've lost the balance in your life. You know, we when we set up businesses, I think that we have this feeling that we're then tied to it, and it
yes,
is our baby and we need to nurture it, and we're a failure if we walk
yeah,
away. But actually, some of the most successful people out there, they build their wealth and they build their success by selling businesses at the right time and
yeah,
knowing when it's the right time to exit for them. Um, and I think another really powerful thing is knowing what you want from life. Remember why we all go into business, really to keep that balance and to
yeah.
be our own in control of our own time and our own lives. And it is actually really easy to lose that control
It,
and, go down the hill, snowballing, your business is growing and you that then becomes your priority. But actually all we want really is the balance with our home life and our self-worth and our
mhm.
self-care. And it's really important to keep that in your mind's eye. So how have you managed to keep that balance in this new business? Because you are, I know you hate the word, but you're very successful at what you do now. But how have you managed to keep that balance that you didn't manage to keep in the last business?
Um, I think with service based, it's a bit different anyway. For me, I wouldn't go back to product. Maybe that's just a personal opinion.
Mhm.
Um, So I think from the beginning, I kind of started to put those boundaries in place and say, I'll reply within, let's say, 24 hours. I am very reactive. That's a complete lie to myself, because I will normally reply within about 1 hour maximum,
Yeah.
because I actually hate having them there. But I'm still trying to manage those expectations from the beginning. And then that's the personality that I need to kind of react. But okay, that's a different
Yeah.
issue. So I think trying to put those boundaries in place, trying to say, I'm at a stage now a few years later where I've said I don't work a Friday. I often do work a Friday, and this is a Friday, we are recording this.
It is on a
Uh,
Friday.
but I suppose that it comes back to choice and choosing what I do on that Friday. So I was out of office at an event yesterday. So then I will naturally kind of do the work on the Friday. Often
Yeah.
that's a day to work on my own business. If there's things that come up that I really enjoy doing or want to do, such as, recording a podcast, that's also for my benefit. It's sharing, and getting in front
Yeah.
of the people.
This is the fun stuff
It
though, isn't
is
it?
the fun stuff, and I absolutely loved like jumping on and just chatting with friends, and that's how it feels. I
Yeah.
love it. So I absolutely adore doing things like this. And then I've got a meeting with a client next, or a new client. So again, it's worth doing. It's a new client. I'm not going to say no, I
Yeah.
can't speak till next week. It's a new client, so but it's choice, and it comes down to that choice, and it's
Mhm.
knowing we have those choices. I think for me was a big shift, and deciding that actually I want something. And again, this goes back to the service base for me, that I can work from anywhere. That's huge for me. So I can just take my
Yeah.
laptop, and I do work from Spain quite a lot of the year. So I can work from anywhere I want. Again,
Oh,
my children
lovely.
are little, yeah, they're a bit older as well. So that makes a difference. They are teenagers, although top tip for those of you little ones, it gets harder. Like teens
I'm
for me,
dreading it. I'm
teens for me,
dreading it.
hardest phase, absolutely.
Oh,
But
we're hitting double digits this year, and I'm
yeah,
dreading it.
it's a big,
Absolutely dreading
it's a
it.
big shift.
Yeah.
And it's tough, and it's all tough. Obviously, we know that it's all just different phases and stages, isn't it? But yeah, it is tough, but they don't need me in the same way as obviously babies and toddlers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
different as well. And you have to move. In businesses, there's ups and downs. The whole roller coaster. We know that we can have a roller coaster within like an hour, can't we? Oh my god, the business is failing. I'm gonna go back to work, and then two clients get back. Oh, can I go ahead? You're like buzzing, and it's up
Yeah.
and down constantly.
Yeah.
And again, at this event
So true.
yesterday, one of the slides was about these ups and downs in the roller coaster, and it was so relatable. You know, we're all laughing in the room. And my friend who I travelled up with from South Wales to London, ended up being like a 4.5 hour journey. And she said, we've literally had this conversation this morning in the car. Like in that car journey, we had gone, both of us, kind of
Through
all the
every
ups,
emotion.
absolutely every emotion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite comical, but I digress. So
But I
yeah,
think that's
it's just
really lovely thing when you have people who understand,
yes,
you know, what you're going through as a business owner. I think it's really important
it
to have those
is.
relationships, because you can speak to your best friend, you know, your lifetime best friend, but if unless they're not in business,
Mhm.
they won't ever really understand it.
It is
So I
different,
think
isn't
that's
it?
lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different, and I think that, you know, my friend, Iona, we literally voice note quite a few times, probably through the day, and some of them, you know,
Mhm.
there's no kind of like, "Hi, how are you?" It's just like,
Straight in.
and it
Yeah.
rant about something, or somebody that's, you know, maybe offended us, or I don't know, not got back to us, or ghosted, or whatever this thing is, you know, or
Yeah.
this client was rude, or whatever. Um, and then it'll be the other person kind of calms that situation, maybe, or sometimes it's like, this is what I want to send in an email, taking that
Yeah.
minute and go in, okay, just give yourself a breather.
Edit it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go back and edit,
Yeah.
all these different things. And it's, again, I think as you're in business longer, you get more confident and you have more self-belief in yourself. You trust the process a little bit more. That
Mm.
comes with time, and I don't necessarily rush that. Now, if I have a slower month, or things where stuff is supposed to be coming in and has been delayed, for instance, I just have a bit more self-belief and trust that it's all fine. In the early days, that's really, really difficult. So,
Yeah,
and I
I
think
agree
my
with
top
that.
tip for that was being kind of stepping in to be invisible, if you like. So whilst those times um, can be very stressful, don't go and hide. Don't retreat. That's the
Yeah.
worst thing you can do. So I purposely seek out extra visibility. Okay, what can I do? I can use this time now to make sure I've got, let's say, a few weeks' emails scheduled. I can do more social media. I can go live. I can show up. I can look for guest expert opportunities. Let's get some podcasts booked in. Let's do this. Let's do that. How can I actually? Because the action we take now will come to fruition in a few months, few weeks,
Mm.
whatever it is.
That's so
It's really
interesting,
important.
because I had this exact conversation with a client last week, and I
Mhm,
was saying, you know, she's in a place currently where she's really struggling for clients,
mhm.
and nothing's really coming in. And I said, okay, so how are you spending your days at the moment? And she said, oh, well, you know, well, I'm doing the work, or I'm doing this, that, and the other. And I said, how much time are you spending on socials, making
Mhm.
connections, you know, inviting yourself to do podcasts, guest lives, you know, all of these
Yep.
things? And she said, "Oh, no, I don't really do any of that, because I feel like sitting on the sofa on socials is actually a waste of my time, and I should be
Yeah.
out there doing stuff." And I said, "But that is what will bring you the clients. If you
Yeah.
spend 2 hours a day making connections, sending message after message, you know, offering your value to other people's audiences, that's how you grow." And I think it's
Absolutely.
a whole mind block for people, that actually spending time on socials, if you're doing the right, if you're not just scrolling, watching cat videos,
Yes.
then yeah, that isn't a benefit
We're
to
not
you.
telling you to do that.
Yeah, but spending that time wisely and finding where your ideal audience hang out and going spending time there, then that's what can transform a business, and that's what I
Mhm.
teach all the time. So that was a massive mindset shift for her. And so we actually said, instead of doing it on your phone, because that can feel like, you know, wasting your time,
Yes.
go and sit at your desk on your computer and do the same thing, but you'll feel more that you're at work, you know.
Absolutely.
And she's been doing that, and I can already see the results on her social. So um,
Fantastic.
but yeah, it's all about mindset, and how
It
actually
is.
socials can be the most powerful tool for your business.
Yeah. It's
Um,
huge. It's a huge resource we have sat there.
yeah, and I
And I
think,
think
sorry, go
we
on.
both were thinking there. I was going to say, when it comes to like ads, I find some clients, if they are going through a quiet patch,
Mhm.
they'll retreat from using ads. Yeah, ads are the only ones that were
Actually,
bringing in the new leads.
yeah,
I'm like, I know this is difficult, but it's counterintuitive to stop right now, because
yeah,
if that's the only thing that's getting those, say, for instance, I had a client recently that we were trying to get people on calls. And she's amazing at what she does. She's been doing it a very long time. But yes, it's been quiet. There's been a few shifts and various different things going on. Um, and another coach had said to her, sorry, so the ads are the ones that are getting the calls, but you're cutting the ads. Like, are you crazy?
yeah.
If the organic isn't working at the moment, then why are you kind of doing the
Your
stopping the
only
hands that
LinkedIn.
feed
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
So, but again, I completely understand that. But something else I sometimes do, if I can, is invest in myself when there's a bit of a drought. So if things are, having a bit of a lull, use that time to upskill or do
Mhm.
that course that's sat there that I haven't actually done, that I still need, or find out what's working right now that's different in my industry that I haven't had time to catch up on potentially, or go and invest. It doesn't have to be a huge investment. I'm not talking go and drop £5,000 to try and save the day. I'm just, even if you see something that might be a $27 kind of something that you think would absolutely help you or your
Yeah.
clients, a resource, I find that energy of investing often opens up doors back to me.
I love
And that
that.
sounds
But I
very
don't know whether
energetic and spiritual, but I do find that.
I don't know how woo you are, Katie, but,
Kind of in the
um
middle.
yeah. So for me, I 100% agree with that, but I see it that if I release money,
Mhm.
if you hold on to it and you save every penny, then you're fearful around money,
Yes.
then that's where the struggle comes. So if you're free with
Mhm.
it, and yes, if you spend some money to invest or whatever that is, but you're not scared to release that money because you know
Yeah.
it's doing good, it will then come back to you. And I
Yeah.
really believe that, and I've used that method my whole life in business really, and it's definitely seen me well. So I think that's really important. In the hard days, actually, is the most time to invest in yourself because
Yeah.
it will help your mindset as well. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you're in those dark days, it's like I think you've said it earlier. We can sometimes just want to go and curl up in a ball and we want to just
Yeah.
hide away. But that is the worst thing that you can do because it's if you show up in those moments that the sun will come back and
Absolutely.
your business will turn around again, and we all
Yeah.
have those dark days in business.
We do.
No matter how long you've been in business, you do have those down days, and that's why it's so important to have these tools all around you and methods to pull yourself back out of it.
Yeah, totally.
So let's talk about Facebook ads or Meta ads as a
Mhm.
whole, because this is an area that is really scary and daunting, I think, to a lot of
Mhm.
business owners. And there's a lot of fear that they're throwing dead money away, basically,
Yeah.
because they don't understand the space. So, but I'm also aware that to hire somebody like you, Katie, um, that costs a lot of money on top of the
Yeah.
ad. So, is there would you recommend straight from day one for someone to look at hiring, a strategist to work
No,
with
I
them a bit?
wouldn't, to be honest. Yeah,
No.
I think it comes back to your aims, your goals, your aspirations, where you're at. In even though you might be at the beginning, some people kind of go, for instance, like that register straight away. That's where they're aiming straight off from the
Yeah,
bat. They know they're going to kind of reach these figures. If you're looking to earn £1,000 a month, you're at a very different place and a very different starting point. Absolutely, don't go and just kind of chuck all your money into ads. Um, But if you're starting out and I have this threshold, and obviously every ads manager will probably be different. So I tend to work with a lot of clients that are at the dipping their toe in the water of ads and starting out with ads, but have no idea where to start and find it all very overwhelming and confusing and scary. So um, a lot of my clients will spend 500, £1,000 a month type area.
okay.
A lot of my colleagues, they're working with clients that are spending millions every year. So there's very different levels to this.
Mm,
If you are spending or you have the budget to spend less than £500 a month, absolutely, I wouldn't recommend working with an ads manager. It's just not an efficient use of that money. Um, I'm kind of low to mid range in where I price myself.
mm,
But a lot of agencies and things, you're looking at paying 1,500 minimum plus VAT, plus often a percentage of the ad spend or the sales you get in from those ads. So it can be quite a big monthly
yeah,
outgoing. Again, it all depends exactly. That might not be a big outgoing to someone who is looking at getting 100,000 sales in a month. So, it's all obviously
it's all
relative and,
relative,
and
yeah.
absolutely. If you're at that bottom end, in terms of where you are looking to spend, under 500, don't invest in an ads manager. I would just recommend getting a course and learning for yourselves. Don't just jump in and try and dabble. I think dabble's the worst thing you can do
Mhm,
because then you inevitably, you might hit gold. You might just be an absolute whiz at it. Who knows? But most people will find it very overwhelming. They don't really know what they're doing, so they're choosing wrong objectives, for instance, or they're not getting their messaging right, or they're not targeting correctly, or whatever that might be. And they make mistakes inevitably because they're not an expert in that field, and then that absolutely is a waste of money, and then that puts them off doing it again,
yeah,
and it's a vicious circle. And then they have this horrible relationship with ads, and they don't want to touch them again. You're much better off investing. I have a course for 397, and there's other amazing courses out there as well. But you're better off investing that amount of money in yourself and learning how to do them correctly following the advice, and then you're doing it correctly. Now, you might love that, and that's absolutely fine. You might think, I'm doing this until I can invest in someone else. This is
Yeah.
not my zone of
A
genius, and
stepping
I want to
stone.
outsource. Absolutely. Some people still always want to do them, or they keep it in house, or a VA will do the course, for instance, and run their
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you do learn. You can, there's loads of free resources out there. Go and learn these things
Yeah.
before. Don't just jump in blind. I hear a lot of people saying like about the dabbling or dipping my toe in and I'm going to dabble, and that's why I'm like, oh, worst thing you can do.
I hear it
You
all
know,
the time where people
yeah,
have put £10 on something,
yes,
and then they don't get anything from it, and they're like,
yeah,
"Well, ads don't work for me." I'm
that's
like,
it,
"You spent
exactly.
£10. You
No,
spent."
and that becomes their truth. Like, I
Yeah.
hear that constantly. They, oh, don't work for me. And I'm like, okay, what did you do? Well, I boosted a post for £50. And I'm like, right, what? No disrespect, but what exactly did you expect to
Yeah.
happen? You expecting 10 grand for the morning? It's not going to
Yes,
happen.
please.
Absolutely, why
Definitely.
am I doing this? So, number one, I wouldn't recommend boosting per se. I would do things correctly, and that again, that's a huge error a lot of
Mm.
people make. Um, and I would just recommend doing them correctly and having the belief they do work. I have all different clients all across, not just me, loads of ads managers, loads of people just running their own ads.
Mm.
They are very, very powerful when done correctly. Most of those people didn't get those amazing results on day one either. Some
Yeah,
clients,
it
don't get me
takes
wrong,
time.
adds up. It does take time.
Yeah.
We need a bit of patience. And again, most ads managers will say, let's commit 3 months to this. So we have time to test what is working, what isn't working. What else can we try? It's not like, oh, they were shit. Let's just stop those then. And off we all go with our tails between our legs. We try other things. We're
Yeah.
optimized, testing all the time. Um, and that's another thing with the budget then. You have to be prepared that isn't necessarily going to give you those immediate results. And that's a really strong word, immediate, because some people kind of go, I'm going to spend right £500 this month, and then I need to sell 2 places on my program, which are 4 grand each. And I'm like, okay, the people you bring in here, for instance, via leads, are not necessarily going to just go, oh, hi, Katie, you sell the thing, right? I'm going to buy the thing,
Jump to
brilliant.
the 4 grand.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
need
There's
nurturing.
touch points. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you're seeing this as well. Over the last like 12, 18 months, maybe 2 years now, things are changing. People need more touch points. People
Yeah.
need more nurture. They need to know more. They need even more know, like, and trust than ever.
Yeah.
They're taking longer to make decisions. And that's absolutely fine. But don't expect someone who's come into your world on day one to jump into the thing and buy the thing immediately. Yes, there are times when some people do, absolutely. But on the whole, people need touch points. They need nurture. They need value. So that person day one might not convert. Not all of them are obviously going to convert anyway, but that one person might not convert until 9 months down the line. I've
Yeah.
seen people in audiences for 2 years and then jumped in. They could have
But
jumped in 2 years ago and changed their life potentially, but they
I
might not
think
be
people
ready.
forget, to think about how we act. I don't see an advert and click on it, and without doing any research or spending any time in their world, go and spend 5 grand with them. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't do that, do
Just
you?
don't do it. No.
So we can't then expect our clients to do the same. And I do think people forget to sit back and think, well, how would I act and how much
Yes.
nurturing do I need in someone else's world to
Yeah.
spend that money? Because it is all relative. And I think, to be honest, the things that you've said are true across anything in business. If you're
Yes.
wanting to do anything new in your business, you need to do the research, you need to understand it, or you need to get an expert in the field to do
Yeah.
it, because otherwise you'll fail. Everything, you need to trial and error and lessons. And I read a book, actually, I think it's called 1 Million Followers, I think. I'll have to find it and put it in the notes, but he says in there that he used advertising to build this
Hmm.
1 million followers in 30 days. But I found it really interesting because I haven't used adverts yet. It's
Hmm.
something that I don't understand, and I haven't had the time to spend to learn about it yet.
Yeah.
Um, but he said he would, change the tiniest of things to get the data. So he would put an advert out, then he would put exactly the same advert out, but just change the back image,
Yeah.
or something like that. And then he would see which one landed better. And then, so he's making tiny changes. And I found that really interesting and quite eye-opening, that actually the data that you can learn from the
Hmm.
reactions to these two things, can then help you ultimately then get the ideal, the perfect
Yeah.
advert. So I
And
suppose,
that's obviously taking him time to do that.
yeah,
And it is,
exactly.
I say all the time, it's one thing at a time. If you're changing millions of things, obviously, if you have a bigger budget, you can do more different things at the same time and test. But if you have a general kind of 20, £30 a day, say, for example,
Mhm.
budget, you can only change one or two things at a time and test each one. So, like exactly what you said, just the background color of that graphic or a
Yeah,
headline. And some clients kind of say to me, "Oh, can I have this graphic with this copy and this headline?" I'm like, I'd rather not, because I'd rather do that graphic, that same headline and the same copy, and then graphic two with the same headline and the same copy.
exactly.
And that's what you do. You test one, like you said, one little thing at a time. There's so many little tiny
Yeah,
things.
this is what I found really interesting, because if I put this one ad out and then I change 5 things and put it out again, I don't know what impact, those 5 things had. 4 of them might have made no difference whatsoever, and 1 might have been the massive thing. So you do need to do it one step at a time, and I found that really interesting,
Yeah,
and something that I will definitely carry forward. So you said
absolutely.
someone for me, for instance, who hasn't ever done them before, you said that there is a
Mhm.
course that I could do to help me step into the world of advertising and get a better
Yeah.
understanding of it. So if you're okay with it, I'll put the link to that in the notes for the
Okay,
listeners.
fab. Thank you.
Um, so you have had many businesses, you've grown them all to a success, and then moved on from them. Have there been any particular areas of that you faced challenges through the growth of a business?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of having staff, or certainly up until now, that's where I've been.
Yeah.
And when this business started, it was very much like I said to you, it was initially, I think I wanted to earn £2,000 a month was my initial aim. I had no intention of ever kind of looking at staff,
Mhm.
because I just find for me, whether it's a control thing or you sometimes find you haven't got the time to teach other people to do the thing that you can just go and do really quickly. Da, 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 da. I
Yeah.
completely understand that's a little bit of a false economy. But for me, yeah, having staff has always been kind of the real difficult thing, because I tend to befriend and then become a friend, not as good a manager
Oh,
potentially. That was the last business. I haven't got staff in this business. And again,
I
I've grown to
100% relate to that.
can you?
Yeah.
It's real. It's I don't know if it's just a block that sometimes we need to maybe get around. I don't know, but this business, I've grown on my own. I say that I've outsourced some bits, but not a lot, to be honest with you. I do most
Mhm.
things myself. I have a great bookkeeper and accountant that does that side of things for me. But on the whole, I do everything else pretty much myself, and that I do enjoy it like that. I also know there's a limit to how much I can scale potentially doing it like that.
Yeah.
And then that takes me back into, oh, what should I do? Not necessarily staff, but outsource more, I think would probably work better for my personality. Um, but yeah, that's probably the biggest thing for me that certainly came up in the last business,
Mm.
while scaling. And
I
I
think
think the other thing is probably where I'm at now. I absolutely have a business that I adore. I feel success in my version of success because I have a life that gives me a lot of freedom. Like I said, I travel a lot. I can work from abroad. I don't work all the hours.
yeah.
I love it. I love what I do, and I love the place I'm in. If I scale and I grow, which also I want to do, and I'm not talking the £1 million business. That's not on my radar at the moment,
Mhm.
but I want to be able to double what I'm doing. But in order to do that, I can't double myself. So something has to give. So is that reoccurring income or passive income? Is that working more hours? How am I going to fill that gap? And I think that is
Yeah.
something for me that is kind of the crossroads I'm potentially at the moment. So I've looked at an agency. I've been looking at that for well over a year. And I still haven't kind of pressed go. I've semi-built the website. I've kind of titivated with that a little bit. Oh, that's good.
Mhm.
Titivated. But yeah, I haven't pressed go on it. And there's something stopping me on that, I guess.
Mm.
What that is, I don't know. Saying that, I launched yesterday a new product service that I've been sat on since probably February, and it's WhatsApp automation. And I'm really excited about that because I'm like, oh, it goes absolutely hand in hand with ads. It's just another
Yeah.
way. I've done a lot of funnels and still do some funnels for clients as well, email type funnels, and obviously ads can be looked at as an online kind of funnel.
Yeah.
And then this is WhatsApp automation. So they all go absolutely hand in hand, and it's about getting those leads and then nurturing afterwards, I guess. So but it's something else I'm thinking, okay, I've had a bit of interest already, and I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm really excited about this. Is this going to explode?
How are you
Okay,
gonna
have I
find
got
the
the
time?
infrastructure ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's all those questions, isn't it? But I'm also a big believer in saying yes and going forward, and then figuring it
Oh,
all out as I go.
yeah.
So
That's my
it'll
life
all work out,
mantra.
I'm sure.
That's my life mantra. Just say yes and then figure it out
Yeah,
afterwards, because if you let the fear take over, you'll
yeah,
turn down so many amazing, I mean, some of the things that I've ended up some situations I've ended up in which have blown my mind,
Mhm.
that if I'd actually thought about them, would have terrified me.
Yeah.
Sharing the stage with Sarah Davies from Dragon's Den, like, that's
Wow.
an insane one, and that the pressure of that could have easily got to me, but I was like, "Yes," and then went away and had a complete meltdown,
Yeah.
freak out, "Oh my lord, what situation
What
am
did
I
I just
getting in
do?
now?" Yeah, and then I prepare, 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 prepare. But yeah, I think it's really important to just say yes and go for it anyway, and I think with growth, there's I think we all nobody has like a straight line up. Everyone is like this. Everyone climbs the
Absolutely.
ladders, and we all get to these certain pain points, and it sounds like you're in one now where you have to make the decision.
Yeah.
To grow any further, I either need more staff, I need to outsource, or I need to change my business model, and I think
Mhm.
we'll all reach that point at some point. Um, and yeah, staff is a pain point for so many people. It's
Mhm.
a really big thing for your business.
It is.
Um, I've had huge success with staff. I've still got some amazing staff, but I've also had some incredibly painful scenarios
Yeah.
with staff. So, it's not something that I would ever tell people definitely not to do, because it can work out, but it's a very, daunting area.
It is. It's really scary.
But I also think outsourcing, because you feel like you're losing a certain level of control if you
Yeah.
outsource to another company. So there's so many things that you need to go through in your mind, and ultimately, I think it's only that can make that decision. You have
Yeah.
to have those conversations in your head and write all the pros and cons until you land on that solution,
Yeah.
don't you?
You do, and I think if you're looking at outsourcing, go with your gut over
Yeah,
necessarily the immediate skill level, because most people you can help and train and support, I would go with your gut on how you feel you gel and your energy is with that person,
yeah,
because you can't change that person, and if you don't gel, that's only gonna get harder. So I think that's really important to bear in mind as well.
yeah. I think as a small business, personality actually is the overarching
Yeah.
thing that you need to get right in a employee or in outsourced support, because you have to then work very closely with that person, and if you don't
Mhm.
gel, if you don't get on with each other, it's a struggle. You'll
Yeah.
clash all the time. So, like you say, you can learn skills, you can teach skills, but you can't teach or learn a personality. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. You have to keep that in mind.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. My last question to you,
Mhm.
Katie, is: have you ever wanted to quit?
Oh god, yeah, most days. No, not that often, but yeah, absolutely. There's been times in probably every business I've had where I've just thought, is there easier ways?
Yeah.
And I think, I've had certain examples probably in every business that I've wanted to do that. Certainly in my first business, I'd worked with someone very closely that ended up stealing from me in that business. And I, I,
Mm,
I take these things really personally, and I struggle not to,
mhm.
because we are our businesses, especially, as small businesses, you are the face, you are the person.
Yeah.
Uh, I found that very difficult, and that was probably like the beginning of the end for that business before I sold that one. And I
Mm,
can probably pinpoint lots of different things like that where certain things happen where I think, yeah, I want to quit. Yeah, I can't do this. And when we had the guest house, sorry, it took over our life. And we had totally had enough of that at that point. We had two young babies, three young stepchildren. So it was just so full on trying to separate that life and business. Definitely
mm.
wanted to quit that one. That was a big kind of learn, thinking that it was going to be this brilliantly kind of perfectly balanced lifestyle business. Didn't quite work out that way, but you live, you learn, you move.
Yeah.
And then again, the last business, again, I had an instance where another business owner was literally copying absolutely everything I did, including typos, and a subscription box business that I had started and was doing really
Wow.
well. Every item in there was copied, and it hurts.
Mhm.
It's really personal, when you take these things. And I think, oh, why? Why am I doing this just for someone to just come along and take
Literally take it.
my
Yeah,
brain, and the
yeah,
thing that
yeah.
I've started, the thing that I was really excited about. I absolutely believe there's room for everybody, but I don't like the complete 100% kind of, "Let's just take that and make it
Yeah.
my own." So,
No,
yeah,
it's
there's
not
integrity,
authentic
I
at
suppose,
all,
it
is
comes
it?
down to. No.
Yeah. I
So,
think
yeah.
it can be seen as a compliment in some ways, well, you must
Mhm.
be doing something right for them to come and want to do that, but there's, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Integrity with it,
Yeah,
that if you're literally lifting and pasting, then that's not showing any of your
that's not
personality.
nice. Yeah.
Ultimately, they'll fail, because they're not being true to themselves, but it's pressure on you, and it's, it takes the pleasure out of what you're doing. And I think that's so important. And actually, throughout the stories you've just said, in all of those instances, it made you lose the passion for your business, and
Mhm.
the pleasure that you were getting out of
Yeah.
that business. Um, and that, I think, is critical to all business owners, that you need to remain passionate, and excited to go to work every day. And if
Yes,
when you start losing that, I think that's a very difficult place to be in.
it is.
You either need to figure out why you're losing it and then regain it, or you need to start your exit strategy, because being self-employed, being our own, boss, essentially, we need to be excited to wake up every morning and get to work.
Yeah.
Um, and we
With
should never have the Sunday night dread when you're your own
No,
boss and you're working for yourself.
you very
I
much need
think
to
that can be
motivate
very
yourself,
difficult.
don't you?
Yeah, I think that can be very difficult. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's clearly a trend that you've had in your businesses, isn't it? Someone else, unfortunately, has derailed that for you.
Yeah,
Um, but ultimately, it's
absolutely.
all done you a favor, because look where you are now.
Exactly, and again, I can see that now, years later, I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm absolutely 100% happy with where I am."
Yeah.
And I absolutely believe it was all for that reason, and I believe, like I said, all these different things have kind of come together and helped me in the position I'm in now, and helped me to be able to help other people, so it's all a ripple effect, and yes, all good.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining me today. Honestly, I've absolutely loved talking to you.
Oh, you're very
If
welcome.
people want to find you after this, where can they find you?
Okay, I'm Katie Clella everywhere, but my surname is Collella because everyone always gets the L's the wrong way around. So I'm katieclellasocial.co.uk website wise, and Katie Clella on most social media platforms. So there's not many of us around, so easy to find.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll put all the links in the notes for everyone as
Fabulous.
well
Thank
for
you.
you. But yeah, that's it. All left to say is thank you so much to you all for joining us today. I hope you found some real value and insight there from Katie's experiences, and I look to see you next week.